So this is part 2 of lesson 1, and we're going to talk about the homework activities, which should take roughly 40 minutes. First was to study the vocabulary terms on Quizlet and using the test function. Completing the crossword puzzle for Earth Day, which I showed in the previous video. And then watch the EdPuzzle videos 1, Layers of the Rainforest, and 2, Why is Biodiversity so important, and complete the questions, which will be the focus of discussion for tomorrow. If we look at the questions, you can see them here in Lesson 1 Tools. We've got homework, flipped classroom videos and questions. And here we can open up the questions. So for the first video, Layers of the Rainforest, here are the questions. And for video 2, and there's a link here for you to click and watch the video. So let's do that. Actually, a better idea would be to go directly to the lesson plan itself, and we can click directly on it. So I've hyperlinked it as well to the lesson plans, as well as uploaded it to Schoology. So I have this theory of if one thing doesn't work, something else will. So always prepare for something not working. So here is the first video.
Exploring the rainforest. There are 4 very distinct layers of trees within the rainforest. These layers can be identified as the emergent layer, the canopy layer, the understory, and the forest floor. The emergent layer contains very large trees called emergents, which grow above the general canopy.
So these are doing with the different layers of the rainforest, as well as the type of flora and fauna, and the importance of each layer. And the question pops up here. So that is the first one, and the second one is a TED Ed video on biodiversity. Open that one up. And each video is about 4 minutes long. It doesn't take that much time.
Our planet's diverse, thriving ecosystems may seem like permanent fixtures, but they're actually vulnerable to collapse. Jungles can become deserts, and reefs can become lifeless rocks, even without cataclysmic events like volcanoes and asteroids. What makes one ecosystem strong and another weak in the face of change? The answer, to a large extent, is biodiversity. Biodiversity is built out of 3 ecosystem diversity, species diversity, and genetic diversity. The more intertwining there is between...
So those are the 2 EdPuzzle flipped classroom activities that the students will be preparing for. So going back to the lesson plans, that should take roughly 40 minutes. And the technology, resources, and decisions for each resource, I chose Quizlet, that being the first one, because of the versatility of the activities, the use of flashcards, the speller tool, the learner tool, and the tests that the students have access to that wouldn't be possible with just flashcards that were student-made. Students should be allotted time in class and at home to master vocabulary, making acquisition both a teacher-monitored and independent process. I'm not the type of teacher that with vocabulary it's go home and memorize. It's through exposure and in various contexts and monitoring and using it in context, which you'll see sentences that use these vocabulary terms in context in the next PowerPoint presentation. And then number 2, I chose EdPuzzle for the video flipped classroom activities, primarily because it was the easiest tool to use for embedding questions into the video. I tried a few others and it didn't work as smoothly. The ability for students to go back and watch sections of the video to answer questions rather than painstakingly going back to guess the point where the answers to the questions are presented. Being a student where I had the teacher that was like, now they're going to put the DVD and answer these questions, and you have to like, okay, where did I remember all of those answers coming from? Always having the opportunity to go back and revisit the information is a good thing. So the ability to have a student watch informational video and to comment on it as a segue into discussion topic for the next lesson keeps learning fresh and also prepares students for discussions. My concerns, of course, the major concern is whether or not all the technological tools will function, as one can never predict when a projector bulb will burn out or if the computer system contracts a virus, which has happened before. It had to move to another classroom. Moreover, although most students are more tech savvy than I am, there is always the concern for students of low SES who may not have access to smartphones and computers. The possession of such tools may be indicators of social status in the classroom, as well as in the hallways. Students like to talk about what they have and what other people don't. So ideally it would be best if students could share their devices with those unable to have them on hand, and ideally also for the school to be able to provide a set of iPads or iPad minis or computer room, which is the case in terms of computer room, but not having students' own portable devices, particularly specifically for class. Another concern is whether or not students will come to class having viewed the video and respond to the questions. Fortunately with EdPuzzle, I can assign lessons and track which students have completed them, assign the tasks for the whole class, and that allows me to have a little bit of a tracking system of who's accountable and who isn't. And that's that for lesson 1, and we will go on to lesson 2 in the next video.